Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us here, July the 12th, 2025. This is a weekly real estate show hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Bank, Scott Wolmering, myself, Ryan O'Neill with the Minnesota Real Estate Team, REMAX Advantage Plus. In studio today, we've got Mr. Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection, longtime friend, trusted partner with the show. And Scott, good morning to you, bud. Great to see you as always. What do you got today?
Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is our weekly show, the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Going to go live in just a minute here on the radio at 8:30 a.m. WCCO. You can join us at 612-294-6949. The entire show either by text or you can call in and go live on air. If you have any questions or just type them in and we'll cover them as they come.
Yeah, appreciate you joining us. Hope your weekend is going well. July the 12th, hard to believe. Steve, we're past the 4th of July.
It's hard to believe that summer is just evaporating on us.
Yeah.
It's just started and it's going away.
Here we go. We're going live on CCO. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate it. Well, good morning. Welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us here, July the 12th, 2025. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on WCCO. Here we are a local real estate show, a local real estate team, the Minnesota Real Estate Team. We welcome your questions, comments, thoughts at any point. 612-294-6949, 612-294-6949. The show is hosted by Mike Overson with Luminate Bank here in the Twin Cities, and then Scott Wolmering and myself, Ryan O'Neill, with the Minnesota Real Estate Team and REMAX Advantage Plus. Good to be here. And Scott, good morning to you, bud. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show, like Ryan said. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us throughout the entire show. Text us your questions, call in, go live on air. If you're following us on social media, just write in any comments or questions. We'll cover them as they come. First part of the show, we always like to get into a couple different updates. One is what's going on from a mortgage standpoint, and then kind of the overall snapshot of what's happening in the 12 county metro area.
Yeah, just talking a little bit before the show, the mortgage rate update in the first segment of the show. I asked Scott interest rates. He was right exact. 6.75 is right about where the 30-year fixed rate is. And then we were talking about, interesting, Scott, the 15-year mortgage is 5.86. And so over the years of doing the show, that's a large gap. Many years it was very similar.
Well, yeah, we were just talking about back in 2022, when COVID hit and rates were at, 2.7% or 3%, the difference between the 15-year and the 30-year was like 0.25%. So, everybody would go on 30 because 3%, or you could get 2.75 on a 15. This is almost a percent difference. And so, if you don't have payment shock, when you look at what a 15-year mortgage would be, it is interesting a lot of times when you're looking at, let's call it 7% and call it 5.8%, what the actual difference in your payment is of going 15 years.
Yeah.
And in some cases, it makes sense to go that route.
Steve had a good question too, saying, do you need more down payment or whatnot? And you don't. It's just qualification, of course, that monthly payment. Affordability is certainly an issue all across the country. I mean, any publication you read, any show you watch, affordability is an issue. And Scott, maybe that's a good transition into the real estate stats. New listings this week, very similar to last year, 1,410 new properties came on the market here in the Twin Cities. Pending sales down just slightly, down 2.3%, 1,040 pending sales. And then the inventory, Scott, is up similarly about 5%. We're at a little over 10,000 homes for sale. We were talking before on air that, things are still happening. Deals are still closing.
They are, but I'll tell you what, that 10,000, we just kind of brushed over that, but hitting 10,000 homes in the last 2 years, which was a very similar market, we weren't hitting 10,000 homes until almost the end of November and December. I remember Mike and I had a bet one year, are we going to see 10,000 homes? So even though 18,000 or 19,000 homes is balanced in the Twin Cities, meaning you have an equal amount of buyers, equal amount of sellers, getting over 10,000 homes, we're starting to see the feeling of that. So you got interest rates high. We're not at 5,500 homes anymore. We're at 10,000. And we're starting to see price reductions at that 525 mark, that 550 mark. That was unheard of 2 years ago. And so there's a feeling out of the market. There's no doubt that people are pressing back. We've sucked on 7% interest rates for 48 months, and they're tired of it. And I'm seeing more price reductions in that 5-ish range than I think I've seen for a long time.
And in Steve Stalock's comments, just saying, again, things are still happening because life is still happening. Marriages, divorce, relocation. Some people just don't have the choice of staying and say, hey, I want to keep my lower rate. Life happens. That's a lot of the transactions. Scott, we were commenting with the team, every day there's 5, 6, 7 sales. But it was interesting. I was talking to Julie Harris yesterday, and she had a listing where there was like 5 or 6 offers. Yep. But I've also heard then people saying, oh my gosh, we cannot get a showing on this. And so buyers really are getting smart in looking at pricing, in deciding, do we want to take a look at that? And so pricing is it's always so important. Well,
and what is really, really interesting this year, the last 3 homes I've written on that were in the it was a higher price one, $1.6 million, $1.8 million, had all gone to multiple offers. And that's unheard of in that price range to see 3, 4 offers on $1.6 million or $1.7 million or $1.8 million home. And it just drives home the fact that every market has its kind of sweet spot. We've all been accustomed to, well, if you have a more expensive home, it just has to sit and so on. That's not true. When you only have 8, 9, 10,000 homes on the market, if you've hit your sweet spot of your listing, these are examples. $1.6 million in the first day, there were 4 offers on it. So that is happening across the board. I think also that grouping is not hit as much by interest rates. They don't really care because the majority of the time they're paying cash anyway. And so I saw a national statistic that over $1 million, we're getting 50% more showings this year than we did last year on $1 million+ properties. Really interesting.
Yeah, we're up against our first break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Before we do break, I wanted to just send out an invitation to all listeners, friends, family. We're doing our annual O'Neill Foundation of Hope charity golf event, which is coming up here very soon, Scott. It's actually coming up here next month, Thursday, August 7th. It is a scramble. Whether you golf once a year like me, or whether you are a pro like my friend, Mr. Scott, you are most welcome to golf. There's lots of great prizes for the golfers, silent auction items. It's a great day. All the monies support the O'Neill Foundation of Hope. Again, you can just go to o'neillhope.org or just Google it as well. But Scott, that's a fun day.
Oh, it's a great day. And Ryan, literally is true. Unless you're Jake Miller, who brings his stacked team every year and wins it, the rest of us go there and play for a little fun. And whether you are, like I said, whether you go out once a year or whether you like to play a lot, it's just a really fun event. It's not really competitive in the traditional sense.
Yep.
It's just a fun day.
Yeah. Again, check that out. The event is over at Oak Marsh, which is right in Oakdale. Great course, and would love to have you join us Thursday, August 7th. And registrations in the morning, 10:30 to 11 a.m. So feel free to reach out for more information about that golf tournament. Again, all proceeds benefit the O'Neill Foundation of Hope. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks, folks, for joining us on social media, wherever you're catching it. We appreciate you all. Steve, good to see you, bud. Good to see you as always.
It's great to be here, and it's temperatures warming up, so it's going to be a good day.
We were just commenting, Mr. Scott, the workout Scott is back.
I am not.
You're back.
Oh, I'm back in the gym.
You're back, Scott.
I was in the hospital for over a month, and when you're my age, it just disappears. So yeah. I'm just back in it. But lucky and grateful to be back. Yes.
We got shorter breaks today.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. The market, it's interesting that we are seeing, again, from an interest rate standpoint, just had a comment here regarding that 15-year mortgage. Not a lot of buyers taking those 15 years. It's just affordability, wouldn't you say?
Well, it is, and it's one of these things where unless you are in a situation where you are 100% sure that payment is just not an issue.
Yeah.
If there's any possibility that it can be, most lenders and most financial advisors will tell you, if you want to get on a 15-year payoff, go ahead and do that, but take the 30-year loan because it gives you the flexibility if life happens.
Sure.
To not have that, instead of $1,800, you're paying $4,000. You got to be able to pay that $4,000. If you can't, it's not like you can switch back to 30.
Here we go. We're going back live on CCO. Welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your weekend is going well. A great summer day out there. We got the sun shining here as we look out the window in downtown Minneapolis. And again, we're here every week, every Saturday morning, 10 to 11. We're a local real estate team. We help people buy homes, sell homes, invest in real estate. Whatever your question might be, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Scott, we got a nice one in Cottage Grove. Carl Ritzman on the team has one for $350,000. It's 7686 Homestead Avenue South. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath. It's a split-level home, 2-car attached garage. You got all updated mechanicals, stainless steel appliances, a 4-year-old roof, all fresh carpet, paint, a fully fenced backyard, wood privacy fence, and it's within a mile of local parks and Cottage Grove's biking, walking, running trail system. Great location on this, Scott. Again, 7686 Homestead Avenue South, $350,000. Not a lot of 350 single families in the Twin Cities anymore.
No, there's definitely not. I actually have one on the Legends Golf Course. It is 18901 Brookwood Road. It is 8,500 square feet, 7 baths, 6 bedroom.
7 baths.
7 baths.
Oh my gosh!
It is obviously an incredible estate on over an acre lot, swimming pool, movie theater rooms. I mean, everything you can imagine in that price point. Now priced at $2 million, which people might be going, man, that's a big number. I'll tell you what, it's a lot of house for $2 million. To replace this house would be well over $4.5 million to build it. So if you are in that range, or you have family members or friends, please check it out. You won't be disappointed. 18901 Brookwood Road it's actually Credit River, Prior Lake.
Yeah, I want to welcome on Steve Staylock, Win Home Inspection. Steve, we were talking a little bit about how busy you are, but a lot of off-market properties you're finding with customers.
It's just a nature, I think, of the market right now. But yes, I often am inspecting properties that are not on the MLS. They're a little more tricky to schedule. But it's becoming really common.
Well, and sometimes people forget that, again, your real estate agent that you hire should be scouring everywhere. The years that Scott and I have done this, it's been very common. You meet a buyer, you get to know them, you set up a search on MLS, and then great, we go look at homes. Well, what's happened the last 3, 4, 5 years is you need a real hunter to go out and find that property for you, whether it's door knocking, sending letters, whether it's networking with neighbors. There's a lot of unique ways, legal ways, of course, that you can find a property. But Scott, that's sometimes for agents, that's the difference. Sometimes also with agents that succeed and some who don't, is you have to be willing to be that hunter to find, like Steve said, your off-market property.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's lots of ways to do it. You can do letters. There's internal listing systems, like for example, that RE/MAX Advantage Plus has, where homes that are not currently on MLS but are going to be maybe coming on soon will go there as just kind of a pre-list. And there's a lot of ways out there to find that. It gets a little harder in a market that is really, really fast moving, because a lot of sellers don't want to take an offer off market because they want to go on the market and find out what they're actually going to get. So the fear a lot of times in sellers are, am I selling it too light? They're not sure because you don't have the pressure of going on the market. But nonetheless, a good agent should be out there networking with people, letting them know what buyers they've got, what's coming on. And you've got a lot of really good agents on your team that do that really well. Jennifer Tishlander is one that sticks out.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. What are you seeing with inspections, with homes? Thoughts, common items, feedback?
Well, you can certainly tell that it's a seller's market still, in my opinion, because I do see a fair amount of what we call deferred maintenance. Just, it's like, oh, let's just let the next owner take care of that. So, I would say that in general, houses are not really dialed completely in like perhaps they used to be in a real buyer's market. So yeah, I guess I'm seeing some of that. Aging, mechanicals, still being in the house and you got a furnace that's 25 years old kind of thing. And actually, interestingly enough, my personal property is 20 years old. And just 2 weeks ago, my air conditioner died.
It's about that range,
20 years
probably.
old, yep. And unfortunately, parts, not direct replacement available. They could find a part, but it was going to be prohibitively expensive. So I wound up swapping both furnace and AC. They're like, well, your furnace is looking pretty. The furnace was actually still great, 20 years old. But I didn't want to have to call them in January because, it's going to be Murphy's Law is going to get you. So,
is 20 years about it? I mean,
in Minnesota, typically, 20 to 25 on a furnace and AC. A lot of homeowners right now are finding, especially with air conditioner condensers, due to the refrigerants being phased out, you're coming to the point where basically you're facing obsolescence. So we phased out the old. I had an old
planned obsolescence.
I don't know. The manufacturers of the AC units really didn't plan it. The EPA has outlawed they're phasing out the allowed use of older refrigerants that had impact on global warming and the ozone. So
I got a question for you, Steve. So are AC units in Minnesota, do they last longer or less than like a home in Texas where where it's 100 degrees every day?
Way longer. I do on occasion get a client coming up from the a southern area, southern state, and I'll say, hey, it's your air conditioning unit's 18 years old. We usually expect 20 to 25, and they just like, you got to be kidding, because in Texas they're running 24/7, 365, and they don't last 10 years.
Yeah.
So in Minnesota, we're running our AC units just a few months of the year for the most part.
And Steve, I just want to let you know, you've got at least 20 to 25 years left to live.
Thank you. I like that guarantee.
We were. I don't have any inside knowledge or anything. I'm just saying we were joking a little bit
just
beforehand.
Got an internal bet within the team. It's an over under of 15 years. I took the over.
Scott, you're terrible.
I must be on somebody's list for what is it when you have a
prayer list?
No.
No, that's you. That's just you.
No, there's it's like a game where they have people. You're betting on people who are going to pass away in the coming year.
Yes.
What is that?
Oh, yeah. They usually put a list out there of celebrities who are they're not going to make it. So apparently I'm on your list.
You're on
Ryan, you know what that list is, man? Can you think of it?
Deadpool.
Rye.
Yeah.
Rye knows it. Have you participated?
I've lost some money on some, yes.
So is it really you bet on the people are going to die?
It's a kind of a morbid game, yes. We can gamble on anything these days. I lost a lot of money on Keith Richards. That's all I know.
That's so funny.
Okay.
The things we learned. Well, we were talking, the reason that came up beforehand, we were talking about, and Steve had mentioned the prior 15 years. And what was it in reference to? We were talking about, and I thought you said you were only going to live 15 years, but you were referencing.
I was looking back over my life of the last 15 years and how things changed. So I wasn't looking forward. We misunderstood each other. But anyway, to get back on track, a tip for homeowners is just like, well, do you really know how old your AC or your furnace is? Usually that can be determined by looking at the serial number on the unit, and it'll be embedded. The year and the month code will be in there somewhere. If you're not exactly sure, you can reach out to me. Go to the radio show website. You can find my email address, and I can help you decipher that serial number. But it's just an important thing to know. If you bought a house within the last couple of years and you have no idea how old your furnace is, you want to know.
Could you ask Grok?
You could. You might be able to get
The
an
AI
answer. I have not
AI
tried
Grok.
that.
So we were talking a little AI too beforehand, and the use of like Gemini, Google Gemini, or Grok is the one that Elon Musk has started. There's a number of different Chat GPT, different ones, and how that's being used in real estate. It's interesting. You can see one of the common ways is real estate descriptions. I would say when you can tell, on MLS, you do agent remarks, internal, just between us as agents, brokers, and then public remarks. And you can tell someone that's got a good AI swap at it because it's sometimes just a little too flowery.
A little fluffy.
Yeah, a little fluffy. But
Yeah.
what's interesting is you can refine it in Gemini or ChatGPT. You can refine it, but that's where I see it being used right
Yeah,
now.
it's everywhere. My inspection software has an AI engine built in, and it's okay, but I still don't trust it.
Yeah, you don't trust it.
Yeah.
Scott uses it a lot.
I have not used, you know what? I was actually talking with Ryan the other night about this, that I need to get on the AI thing. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I don't know why I've kind of pushed it away.
Yeah, what's the deal?
I've kind of pushed it away, and there's no doubt that it's coming and it's going to be there. So I need to learn how to use it to my benefit.
Let's just stick with natural intelligence.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Let's
I've
stay there.
got that in spades, so I
Yeah.
just don't understand why I'd have to do that.
Just one other thought on this, though, because a lot of agents have asked, do we think AI is going to replace the agent? And I personally don't. I think there's so much human involvement with the transaction, so many problems that occur, and the importance of a really good human to help you on the buying or selling side or investing side. So there's efficiencies I could see with certain things.
Well,
But, yeah.
there's been algorithms out forever. I mean, all the major real estate sites use algorithms to tell you what your home's worth, and they are not worth the powder to blow them up. And so you still are going to need to have. I would never trust an AI version to tell me what my house is actually worth, because there are so many different human factors that go into that. It's not just 1 + 1 = 2 and gives you your number.
Yeah.
And so, just, I won't name all the sites, but when I'll go in and they'll say, oh, I looked on Zillow and my house is worth this, and it could be off 200 grand, either positive or negative. So you still are going to have people that understand what brings value, dictating, what you're going to be able to sell your house for the maximum. And then more importantly, on the buying end, you want to make sure you're writing the right offer.
Yeah. Thanks, Grok.
Yeah. Thanks, Grok.
Hey, break. Before we break, Jack Dickinson has got one in Pryor. Scott, Pryor Lake, 4892 Bluff Heights Trail, Southeast, for $299,999. It's a 3-bed, 2.5 bath. It's got a primary bedroom, has a very private bathroom. There's a nice deck overlooking the pond. Steve, the furnace and AC were recently cleaned and serviced. It's close to Cleary Lake in Spring Lake National Park. It's great for trails, biking, hiking. It's fresh on the market, Jack said. 4892 Bluff Heights Trail in Pryor Lake for basically $300,000. $299,999, a 3-bed, 2.5 bath. Check that one out. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Yeah, it's interesting. Other ways, just trying to think of other ways. I'm thinking about other ways that AI is used in real estate, or that we're seeing it.
I think long-term AI is going to be a helpful tool and not much more.
Sure.
Every house, every person, every transaction, look back over your careers. Every transaction is like a snowflake. There's something unique and different. And if you're relying on a cookie cutter AI program to drive everything, think of all the unique things that have ever happened. And if those don't get uncovered or discovered and dealt with, what disasters because that's the thing, it's like that one little thing that totally messes up someone purchasing a home.
Well, and real estate agents are freaks anyway. I mean, I remember when the internet came and it was like, oh, we're done. Real estate agents are done. It's going to be the internet. Now people have access to looking at homes, which they didn't before. and that's going to end our value. And I was always like, God, you don't value yourself much. I mean, it's not just,
Yeah.
it's just not physically being able to look at homes.
Sure.
And all it's done is sped the process up. I was talking with an agent the other day that, in 1999, when I would start, I would have clients and I'd show 10 homes from 8 o'clock till noon. Then I'd have another group from 1 o'clock till 4. And,
Yep.
and you do that for days.
Yeah.
And show 20, 30 houses to find out what your people actually liked.
Yep.
And then you'd finally dial it in, and then you'd be able to go out and look at what they want because they didn't have access to anything.
Yeah.
So the internet, all that did was bring them the availability of access. So instead of showing 30 homes, now we show 6.
Sure.
It just made everything streamlined. It didn't remove the agent.
Yeah.
And the AI is going to be the same thing. It's going to be a great tool. One other little quiver that you can, or another arrow you can have in your quiver.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
What if I start getting really kind of soft and friendly texts and stuff from Scott or emails?
You'll know those are Grok. You'll know those are AI.
I'm like, wow. I mean, Scott, look at this email.
It's very sweet.
I mean, just very thoughtful. Oh, man. Hey, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you, everybody, for the nice comments. Wherever you're catching us on social media, we really do appreciate it. And again, hope your July is going well. Hard to believe we're already in the middle of July. Going to continue the discussion with our friend Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection, longtime partner with our team in WCCO. Welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Scott, another featured listing. Bill Ebert has one in Edina, 6423 Colony Way, number 2G. This is a condo for $149,900. Lots of new updates: carpet, painting, stainless steel appliances, quartz countertops, kitchen backsplash. Great location, close to Southdale, the Fairview Medical Campus, Lake Cornelia, the Galleria. And there's an outdoor pool located along the backside of the property for privacy, condo owners. Great spot. Again, check that out. 6423 Colony Way, number 2G.
And what's that price at?
$149,900.
$149,900.
$149,900. Hey, Scott, before we keep going, each week we like to do one little short 30-second or 1 minute O'Neill Foundation of Hope story of the week. This one is a immigrant family, legal immigrant who we met that had no housing, and a family of 6 or 7 worked with them, helped them to identify a property in Bloomington. They were living in a hotel, basically moved here from Florida. They were paying $2,500 a month in rent down in Florida, affordability. There were a number of issues that came up for this family, but now they have a home that they moved into in Bloomington, helped them find a place. They moved in last night. And so they're very happy. Again, young kids, young children. And so O'Neill Foundation of Hope, every week we try to help 2 to 3 different families going through a difficult time. Don't hesitate to reach out to o'neillhope.org. But Scott, this is a wonderful family with kids involved. Very sad. Living on the street, you're living in a hotel. They're legal immigrants. They're from Romania, actually, a Romanian family. And so just very sad, they're trying to find a place here.
Well, that's what makes the O'Neill Foundation of Hope so cool. I mean, there's obviously a lot of great charities out there. So if you've got one that you really like, but these guys, you react immediately. See, it's not like not like there's a whole bunch of red tape you have to go through and waiting. I mean, these are people that need help now.
Yeah.
You identify it, establish that it's real, and then you put the help in place. And it's a very quick turnaround, which is awesome.
Yeah. Special thanks, Beth Novak with the foundation, Steve Highland, also Mike Garbart and Neil Turner, who did just a ton of work here this past week as well. So thank you. That was longer than a minute. I got to keep, as my dad would say, be brief, be blunt, and be gone, Ryan. Be brief, be blunt, and be gone. But talking to Steve, our buddy Steve Stalock, inspection-wise, I'm happy to hear you're busy though, bud.
Keeping very steady. And I'm happy about that too.
Yeah. Yep. And that's good. And I think from a buyer standpoint, or seller standpoint, you're not seeing many seller inspections, are you, prior to listing or anything like that?
No, there was a bit of a spike of that last year, maybe this spring, but I have not seen much of that at all. The only time I'm really working for a homeowner right now, I'm seeing a fair number of like that 11-month.
Yeah, I was gonna
inspection.
bring that up, Steve. We were talking before the show, and I hadn't actually thought about this. I'm actually a little bit ashamed I have not employed you to do this with my new construction clients. But when you go in new construction, at 11-month, the builder normally comes back and goes through a bunch of punch list items. Well, that's great if you trust the builder, but I would rather have Steve come out, identify what the now punch list items are at 11 months, and then have the builder come in. And you've been doing a lot of those.
Yeah, it's fairly common. I will steer away mostly from cosmetic stuff. A lot of times the homeowners have that long list of, well, this trim isn't exactly perfect. I'm not reporting on that. I'm looking for significant structural, more critical
Things that
issues.
got missed.
And, for the most part, what at the end, I'm really teaching this homeowner, because most people haven't owned a new house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually teaching them about their own house and things they don't understand that are there. In fact, my brother is going to be moving soon, and he's purchasing a home that's somewhat newer. And when he moves in, he says, "Steve, get over here. I need you to teach me about all this stuff." Because there are things that they just have no idea what they do. But every now and then you'll get, even in quality good builders, you'll see things that you shake their head. Years ago, I had one. It was a good quality big box builder. They had a whole side of the home where the vinyl exterior siding was never installed.
Yeah.
Couldn't see it from the ground. You had to get up on the roof and go around the corner. But that's like, okay, zero siding over a 10-foot by 20-foot span. How do you miss that?
That's crazy.
It happens.
Scott, got a question for you that came in here. The 3 biggest things for a seller to avoid doing. 3 things for a seller to avoid doing. I've got some thoughts, but I'm curious what you say.
Yeah, well, for I'm assuming we're talking about when you're listing your house.
Yes.
So things to avoid, probably the number one would be to not be there during showings.
Okay.
You do not want to be there. You do not want to be there pointing out what is important about your house.
Giving a tour.
Giving a tour and pointing out the linen closet and how you just installed the new shelves 3 months ago, and you don't want to do that. So you want to be gone. That would be probably the most. Secondly, is to make sure you're hiring an agent that you really, really trust, because like always, and if you've listened to our show for the last 20 years, this is a theme. Pricing is the most important thing that you will do. And you got really one shot at it, because once you start reducing, your number gets way worse of what you're going to end up with. So an agent that you really trust, that is going to give you the correct, I always call it aggressive but not stupid price, so that you can hopefully move your house to multiples, and that's what ends up getting you more.
Yeah.
Those are my 2.
Okay. Yeah. Overpricing. To Steve's point, one thought is kind of neglecting repairs. And then from just a staging and presentation standpoint, in other words, how are you going to present the property, and just assuming that somebody will buy it in maybe poorer condition. An interesting one that I was thinking of too is getting really emotional through the process and refusing to negotiate. Yeah. Sometimes people get too emotional, and I always encourage agents, if they're working with another agent that is emotional, to really try to just keep it to the facts. Focus on the matter at hand. No need to get super emotional about things. Rather, stay calm, stay focused, and work cooperatively with the other agent. But Scott, sellers, sometimes you can see that if sellers get super emotional and upset, that can be a problem.
Yeah, no, it is, and it is, and the real benefit of this market, unlike for those of us that lived through the crash of 2007 to about 2011, the difference now is you don't have lack of information. So back in 2008, if I listed a house, I might have one showing on it in 4 months. Well, could you leave money on the table? Could you make a selling mistake with only that little bit of reference? Sure, you can. But that's not happening now. You list a house now, if you're within range, you're going to have 10, 15, 20 showings on the property. Now, if you're out of range, you're not going to get any, and that answers your question right out of the gate. But so you're going to know these people are not, they're passing for a reason. They're not writing for a reason. You're going to have the information in front of you. So to dig in and just say, well, I don't believe that. 35 people have gone through and they've said, my house is really nice. I think we're priced right. Well, 35 people haven't written on your house, so you're not.
Yeah, it can be hard. Steve, before the break, other thoughts, tips, whether for agents listening, buyers, sellers regarding home inspections?
As you're putting your offer in, reach out to an inspector, find out what their calendar looks like. Because I think purchase agreements it states 10 days contingency.
There's actually nothing standard.
Nothing anymore.
Standard.
It used to say 10.
10 days for the condo documents you're
Oh,
thinking of.
okay.
Yep.
Anyway, one thing that I'm seeing is shorter and shorter contingency period. So I'll get a phone call.
Like a day.
I've had those. And I'm a single inspection company, and I don't have 1 day response, right? But I do see oftentimes I need it within 3 days or 5. Reach out to an inspector, find out what their calendar looks like, so you have some level of confidence as you're putting that offer together that, I can get an inspector in there in 4 days.
Yeah, that's really good. Best way for people to connect with you, my friend.
My business number, it's not a text line. It is 952-891-4455. And by far the best way is to go to the radio show website, mnradioshow.com. It's really laid out nice. You got preferred partners. Click on that. Scroll down to home inspectors and look for that handsome bald guy. That's me. And no, I'm not going to get that website.
And it's actually mnrealestateshow.com, not radioshow.com.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry.
MN Real Estate Show.
Okay.
Hey, before I forget, too, got to give a shout out to a friend I grew up with down in New Prague, Greg Pint. We affectionately call him Bud. Bud's got a 50th birthday party today. So happy birthday, Bud. He's a gem of a human. Wonderful guy. The Pint family is a great family down in New Prague. But Scott, the big 5-0, happy birthday to Bud.
Happy birthday, Bud.
Yep. Happy birthday to Bud indeed. We're already up against the final break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We'll be back right after the break.
I'm going to get the website wrong.
20
20 years of the show.
Bud. Yeah, it's Bud's big 50th.
50th birthday. I remember 50.
You do?
I do.
What?
Yeah,
Your 50th birthday? What was I there?
No, I was in Texas, I think, on my 50th birthday.
Why wasn't I there?
You weren't invited. Everybody I liked was invited, but you weren't invited.
Well, I figured as much, but that's all right. I'm still dealing with it. It's been a fun show. Thank you, so many folks joining online again. Steve's question was a good one about condo docs. We could do a whole show about townhomes, condos. I'd say that market's tough right now. That market's been really tough with insurance issues going on, lender issues, HOA issues. Selling of townhomes and condos has been a tough deal, guys.
Complicated.
Yeah, really has been.
Yeah,
way more complicated than normal.
It's the insurances that have become the biggest issue.
Well, that's been hitting homeowners too.
Yeah.
And wasn't there a story just the other day saying every homeowner should expect a 10 to 15% increase
in their association or their insurance?
Just in insurance.
Yeah, insurance, yeah.
And that's just, even if you're not in an HOA, that the insurance rates are going up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's been a mess. There's no doubt about that. And it was a while. It was about like a year ago where there was a bunch where like this thing's not going to close.
Right.
I mean, the insurance. What is it? The 1029 or I can't remember exactly what the where it's off, but it's that extra insurance that needs to be in place.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is. It's important again to know, and that's with what Steve was referring to, that 10-day period where you as the buyer can review all the condo documents. That is the buyer's job. Some agents think, well, I'll do it. Or no, it's not our job as agents. Legally, we can't really advise on it. We can help. We can introduce you to attorneys. We can certainly talk about it. But sometimes, Scott, I'll see that mistake with agents that they'll try to be analyzing everything and their customers not.
Well, yeah. And the problem with that is, think about this. You as an agent review it and you look at the additional cash that they have and you establish that as, oh, that's great. Well, your buyer might look at it and go, I'm not comfortable with that. That's only 10% cash reserve. I want 15% cash reserve.
Yep.
So, your thought might not be what your buyer's thought.
Here we go. Our final segment on the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your weekend's going well. Hey, I just heard an ad for Flatibow Land. Glenn is a friend of mine. Wonderful guy, wonderful company. They do a lot of auctioneering. He's part with a lot of the charity galas in the Twin Cities too, where he ends up being the guy like, hey, Scott, can you give at the X $1,000 level or to the, yeah, he's a really good guy. Glenn's a really good guy. So nice to hear his ad there. But hey, before we dive back in, I just wanted to hit on Ryan Beardsley's. Has got a great listing, Scott. This one's in St. Paul Park, 825 Holly Avenue for $325. It's a newly renovated kitchen, bathroom, basement. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1-car garage, 1,900 square feet. It's open, bright, quiet neighborhood, and it's close to the Mississippi River. Ryan says it won't last long. 825 Holly Avenue in St. Paul Park for $325,000. And one last one here. Justin Voss has one in Farmington, 1309 Larch Street, a single family for $330,000. It is a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage. And it's got over 1,500 finished square feet, a great deck, fenced-in yard. And Justin said, be in town with the feel of being up north, wide open space across the street, park with a pond, walking streets. $330,000 for that one, Scott, in Farmington, 1309 Larch Street.
Very nice. I was thinking the other day, I have not paid attention much because I just don't do a lot, obviously, up that direction anymore, of lake properties 3 hours from the Twin Cities and how they're doing with this market. A lot of times when you're interest rate heavy, it gets tougher and tougher to do a second home because obviously your interest rates are even higher than what the conforming rates are. So I don't know if there's anybody out there, if you can shoot us a message, maybe you work in Brainerd or anywhere 3 hours from the cities, what the lake market's like, because I've actually had some people asking about it. I frankly don't know. Yeah, just a little bit in my conversations with some agents, Scott, is similar, very limited inventory situations. So a lot of non-MLS searching with buyers, still rising prices in many of these areas just because everybody loves their cabins. It's like that $1 million price range you were talking about. Why? I mean, what's going on there? Why is that so gangbusters? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's interesting. Speaking of that, Scott, I did want to mention there was one last listing. Laura Antolik has this one. I think you've seen this one down in Lakeville. It's 9455 Livery Lane in Lakeville. It's $975. It's a walkout rambler, over 2.5 acres, private acres, professionally landscaped gardens throughout, a remodeled kitchen, top of the line appliances, granite countertops, hardwood floors, high ceilings, large windows throughout, and it was newly remodeled, the basement, bathroom and custom cabinetry. It's a maintenance-free deck, roof, gutters, furnace, AC. Again, it's a price of $975. You've seen that one, Scott. I've seen it. It's a great property, super location. It's one of those neighborhoods that not a lot of turnovers in there, and yeah, just a great property. If you have a chance to see it, under $1 million is a good number on that house.
Yeah, again, down in Lakeville, Ramblers. People like Ramblers. Scott, what are you seeing with your buyers with Ramblers versus the 2-story versus splits?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've got 3 buyers right now that are in that $1.5 million to $2.5 million range, and I've been all the way from south to western suburbs and whatever. And I was asked by a gentleman last week, what's the number one thing that people look for, if they're a $2 million buyer? And I would say the number one thing they look for is privacy. They want acreage, privacy. It is amazing the age of these buyers. Like for example, on my listing at $2 million. We've got some interested buyers, and they are, for the most part, older, in their late 60s, in their 70s. And it's almost a 9,000 square foot house, which is interesting to me that somebody at that age would be interested. But so I can't really pinpoint why we're having this bump in that price range, but we just are. And the larger houses aren't scaring people away, where normally you got a 10,000 square foot house, you've kind of limited your market because not a lot of people want 10,000 square feet. You know?
I'm super passionate. I know we all are about affordability and helping anybody right now 40 and under that is looking to buy a home, that wants to get into home ownership.
You know what? I'll interrupt. You know what the average age now is of a first-time home buyer?
What is it?
I'll tell you what it was 2 years ago. It was 28.
Okay.
You know what it is now?
37.
38.
Wow.
I mean, think about that's a big change.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
You know, because again, for regular folks like all of us in the studio here, it is home ownership is a way to build wealth. The normal person that we get up, we go to work, we have a job. Buying a house gives an opportunity, like a couple of your kids already, Scott, who are homeowners, where they've bought something and they've held on to it 3, 5, 7 years, and we need to figure that out. Again, we need more inventory.
Well, I can tell you right now, if that does not change back to being in the 20s somewhere as your first house, if we continue to creep at 38, 40 years old as a first-time home buyer, we are going to have major problems in a real estate market in the next 10 years. It can't sustain itself. I mean, you can't lose 10 years of buying power from all the people that are done with college that want to buy a house, which used to be a thing, and now all of a sudden they can't. And so when I saw that, I was like, 38 years old. That's a problem.
Steve, any thoughts on that?
I have a son who is kind of in that category. He doesn't want to own a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I don't understand it, but it's real.
Well, and I think there is a fair amount of that. And just so everyone's clear, we're big believers that there's nothing wrong with renting. I mean, I've rented a good portion of my life, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with renting. I think, as I read more articles, talk to more agents, and I hear some of the frustration of young folks out there that are like, look, I'm sick of paying $2,000 a month in rent and barely having enough money to fill up my car with gas and get some groceries. And, it's just, it's tough. It's tough out there.
Well, the difference though is, and I agree with that, but the difference was if you went back, 10 years ago, you'd be like, look, I'm throwing $2,500 away on rent. I'm going to go ahead and buy a house for $2,200 a month.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make any sense to do that. Now you're like, I'm spending $2,500 on rent, but my first time home buying house is a $4,000 payment.
Right. You
So
just can't do it.
You can't do it. So
Yeah.
it's like, I think if you were to take the 28 years old to 38 years old that can't buy a house and you polled them, I would say 90% of them would be like, yes, I want to buy. But we're not talking about just a choice of buying versus renting because you'd rather buy. You're talking about $1,500 to $2,000 more.
Yeah, just can't do it.
You can't do it.
Well, and I know regardless of how you feel politically about whoever, Trump has obviously been talking a ton about trying to get the Fed to
And
reduce.
there's a lot of pressure. I've been telling my people, and I wish Mike was here. I started to interrupt you, Ryan, but in the next 90 to 4 months, there is too much pressure on it with inflation basically non-existent, with the economy doing incredible. Rates are going to come down,
Yeah.
and you want to be buying now at the value that the house is correct
Sure.
before rates come down. Because if rates come down, you can add 5 to 10% to every house you're looking at. Well, that doesn't do any good.
Yeah, because again, the buying point of when you buy the home is super important. When you look out 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. Though during COVID, rates were very low, there were some buyers that overpaid for homes.
Everybody did.
Yeah.
We bought a house in 2022, and we were very honest. Everybody, I think, was with their clients. Look, guys, you're buying a payment. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're here for 10 years, it's a very good payment. But don't misunderstand the fact that, this house 4 months ago was $300. Now it's $375.
Hey, it was a fun show. Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection, mnrealestateshow.com. Look for the handsome bald guy, right, buddy?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. It's a beautiful day. Go out and enjoy it.
A pleasure. And you're going to be around 25 more years.
Okay.
Scott, sorry.
Panaprog, guys. If you are in the South, Panaprog is kind of the little Lakeville festival that starts. They've got their parade today. I'm sure they've got all kinds of concerts and whatever. So it's a cool event. Bring the kids. I'm going to be out there. Maybe I'll see you.
Yep, Scott's going to be on a float.
I'm going to be on my own float. It just says Scott.
Ryan, you taking the boat out, dude?
I'm getting on a boat. Yes, celebrating Aunt Fran's birthday. She is a good age today, and we're all going to have some fun.
Happy Aunt Fran.
Aunt
Fran.
Fran.
Aunt
Every
Fran.
aunt should be named Fran.
Happy birthday to Aunt Fran. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. Hope you had a little fun, a few laughs, picked up a tip or two. We will be back next Saturday morning, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope you all have a great weekend and enjoy the sunshine today. Take care. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. A lot of folks watching online. We're grateful for you joining us. Hope you have a great rest of the weekend. Steve, Scott, nice job, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. See you next week.
Yeah, we'll be back again. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.